FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
On Top Chef Masters, of course, everyone already came with a reputation and a lot of years of experience.
Right.
So you get in the middle of it and you realize there's so many ways you could look like a fool on this show. We got the first challenge that we did, for me, the first Quickfire, was to cook a dish that was all one color. Okay, so you had to pull knives, and I got green, which I thought was kind of easy. You know, I can cook a lot of green food, so I thought this would be a kind of easy task to do.
Slam dunk.
But it was 30 minutes, and you had to make a dish, and you had to present it to food stylists and food photographers. They were going to be the judges on that particular challenge. So there we were, cooking away, and I looked up at the clock, and it said 19. And this is a 30-minute challenge. It said 19. And I screamed at one of the producers, "Is that 19 minutes left?" And she said, "No, we're 19 minutes into it." And I thought, oh no, there's no way I can get out of this thing because I didn't have my sauce simmering yet on the stove. So I had all the ingredients in this high-speed blender, Vitamix blender, and all of a sudden it went into my head that I'm one of those geeks that reads all the little manuals that come with the appliances, and if they send a video, even better, I'll watch it. I'm one of those people that will actually watch the video that comes. So I'd watched this video that came with the Vitamix blender, and somebody was making a soup in the Vitamix blender because it's so high-powered and the blades go so fast you can actually bring it up to a simmer in the Vitamix blender. So I thought, this is the only way I'm going to get out of this thing. So I left it going. It was a horrible noise in the kitchen, but I left it going until it was ready to plate, and I poured my hot sauce out because it got all hot in there. Of course, it wasn't simmered for very long, but I got it all out there, and I realized that at that moment, that this competition required something that had nothing really that much to do with cooking. It had to do with playing this game, and how could you approach doing the challenge that they gave you in this tiny little bit of time. And so you had to be really creative. So it was all about thinking outside a box, which of course, as chefs, we have to do from time to time. Being a chef of a restaurant is very much like being on stage for live performance. Things go wrong all the time, but the audience never should know that anything has gone wrong. You cover it over, you change things, you come up with something on the spot just like that. Well, that's when I realized that I do that sort of thing all the time, and I like doing it. And I grew up in catering, and catering, as anybody that's ever done it.
It's Latin for things will hit the fan.
It certainly is. And you just have to be ready to punt at any moment because something will just cross your path and you go, okay, well, we'll just change it all and we'll do it this way. So that's what I think got me through Top Chef Masters, is that I had a really strong background in catering, so I was used to working on the spot, and I liked playing the game. Now, there are some chefs that went on to that show that are really amazing chefs. They just didn't know how to play the game part of it. And when I realized that that was the biggest thing, of course you had to be a good chef. You had to have techniques that you could employ. And the most critical thing, since people were going to eat the food, it actually had to taste good. And they were going to judge you on the taste. And I have to say, so many chefs fell down because they did everything but taste their food, because they were so worried about getting it on the plate that they didn't ever stop to taste it. And to me, I am so dedicated to flavor. In our restaurants, we have this sort of ritual tasting that we go through 2 times a day. And the line cook sets up their station where they're going to make the dishes that they're responsible for. So that cook has to taste everything in their station. Then a sous chef comes by and tastes everything in the station. And then the chef de cuisine or I will come by and taste everything in their station. And we do this thing twice a day because we're so dedicated to flavor. A lot of chefs don't do that kind of thing. They're looking for, sometimes their food is simple enough that it just requires some salt or whatever, and ours is really complex in all of its flavors. So it's all about the delicate balance of those flavors that you've brought together. But here we were in Top Chef Masters, and I saw so many of the chefs not tasting their food. And they made beautiful plates, but they didn't come to the final step, which was to give it that beautiful flavor that they're supposedly well known for.